Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So today, as you read in the title, I'm discussing me quitting my job. So in 2017, I started with my previous employer in the risk management department, and so I did like claims of workers' comp, injury accidents, car accidents and stuff like that. Then in 2018, the same week we got married. Yeah, I did.
You started there in 2018?
No, 2017, October 2017, because then a year later, when we got married that same week, see y'all, she trying to, Olivia's over here in the cut. I don't know what I'm talking about. Same week we got married. In 1 week we got married, we closed on our first home, and I started my new position in procurement. So I went from an hourly position where I got paid every week to now a salary position where I got paid once a month, which I wasn't used to because when I worked in college, all my jobs, I've always been paid weekly or bi-weekly, so that was a major adjustment. So I had a really good friend in the procurement department already, and she knew I was trying to leave my previous department. So when the position came open, she was like, hey, like apply for it, you know, I think you'd be great. And she was a person of color, and so I applied for it, I interviewed for it, and I got it. So when we were talking about compensation, my previous boss was like, hey, this is like entry level. This is all we're offering, like no more, no less. And so I was like, well, with my credentials and my degree, like I think I should get more. And he was like, there's really no leverage. Like this is a major beverage company, like the #1 beverage company in the world. Like if you don't want to, you know, receive this salary, somebody else will. So it was an upgrade, not much. It was really like $1.50 to $2 increase from where I was at. So I was like, anything is better than nothing, so I went. And it was good, like the first like few months or whatever, you know, everybody putting their best foot forward and like, you know, welcome to the department, and you know, showing me little things but not everything I needed to know. But my good friend that was in the department, we sat right next to each other, so she taught me everything I needed to know. I won't say her name, but you know who you are. And so she taught me everything I needed to know, stuff like that they wouldn't show me. Anything she knew, she taught me. And so that was just that's my road dog, still my dog. And so yeah, it was great first few months. Well then, little by little, they started noticing like, oh, them two are good friends, which I don't know how they didn't know we weren't friends previous to me coming to the department, because my new department, procurement, and my old department, risk management, work right next to each other. So I literally sat across from my friend in my old department for I don't know how long. So they had seen me around, they knew me, but we had never talked. Like they were always like, in my old department, we always used to call them like really snobby because they wouldn't talk to us. They were just kind of like, other than my friend, all the other people were like, you know, kind of like give that impression of like, well, we're salary, we're better than y'all. So like they wouldn't talk. Like you would walk in and say like, good morning, and they would just be like that was it. So when I came to the department for the first few months, they put on their brave faces, you know, their nice face, they were kind of cool, whatever. Well, then they started noticing like that she was teaching me everything she knew. I was quickly picking up on it, and we were good friends. And so things that they had told me to do that I knew was wrong because I was shown how to do it the right way. I'm not just one for you to tell me like, go do this, like go rob a bank and I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm gonna ask you why, what's the purpose, like why are you needing the money, how much do you need? Like I'm gonna be asking questions. I'm not just about to do it because you tell me to do it. And then if I know it's wrong to do, I'm gonna say like, hey, I'm not comfortable doing that, or I'm not gonna do it because that's not the right thing to do. So there were little instances like that. So when they noticed like I wasn't a pushover, or like I wasn't just gonna roll down and just take it, I was gonna be asking questions and, you know, challenge them a little bit, not in like a derogatory, like questioning authority, but just asking questions. Like if I don't understand something, I'm the first one. I will ask a stupid question. I will ask like questions. If I don't get it, I just don't want to do something and make a huge mistake, or that will impact somebody else or another group of people. So I will ask question after question. And they would tell you I had notes that were like super detailed. Like I would go step by step if somebody was showing me something and literally write it down. That way I don't have any questions, and if I do, it's just to fill in the gap. But I would literally, like, if you tell me like how to bake a cake and I've never baked a cake, I'm gonna write down like, okay, do the eggs, do the such and such. Like, I'm making a complete list so I know what to do. And so they realized quickly, like, I'm not a pushover, and I'm not one like you're gonna talk to crazy. I think I was the youngest or second youngest in the department, and then I was a person of color. It was just me and my friend that were African American. Everybody else was Caucasian. And so we would sit and laugh and work, and she'd roll around to my desk, I'd roll around to her desk, and we worked simultaneously together. And so we subconsciously realized, like, every little thing that project wise in our department, we were being put together, and it wasn't a problem because that's my dog. So, you know, it was great to work with her, and like, we would just be on everything together. And when she was on vacation or vice versa, we would cover each other's workflow so that nothing was lacking. Like, we were the type, like, it doesn't make sense, and it still doesn't, for somebody to go on vacation for a week or 2 weeks and nobody cover your work. So when you come back, you have thousands of emails, thousands of things to catch up on, then maintain your current. It just didn't make sense. So we were always covering each other, like, hey, you go and enjoy your time with your husband, you go and enjoy time with your wife, and like, you know, just so when you come back, you're not like dreading coming back because you're like, oh, someone's already covered it, like, I'm good. So that's how we worked, and we worked great together. That's my, like I told y'all, my dog. Well, then we also still, we love each other, but we also wanted the opportunity to work on stuff with other people. Like, I wanted to go into the contracts field, and she wanted to go in like some other project fields, and so that required working with other people in our department. So when we would ask our boss to, like, hey, kind of let us branch out and work with other people, he just wouldn't do it. Like, he would always still put us together. We were just like, what the hell is that about? Like, why can't we work with other people? It was just weird. And so it came a time where I expressed to my boss, like, hey, I really want some diversity in the department of working with other things, because I want to grow within the company and within the department. So in the department, there's like levels. There was like a procurement level 1, and specialist level 2, level 3, senior, and then you get into your analyst and then a manager role. So I wanted to progress into specialist and then to analyst. And so when I would ask my boss during my reviews, like, hey, what do I need to do to get to a level 2 and then 3 and then senior, he would always say, like, it's whenever I feel like you're ready. So mind you, at this point, my friend had been in the department like 3 or 4 years, and she had never been promoted to a level 2. So I, you know, in conversations and stuff, like, I would ask her, like, what's going on with that, like, and she would just give me so much context into like how he treated her. And I slowly started seeing him do the same with me. So when it was time for my review, I asked him, like, hey, you know, I wanted to go to level 2, like, what do I need to do to get there, or have I done it? And he's like, oh, you know, you've done some stuff, but like, I just really think, like, whenever I feel you're ready, then I'll move you up. And in my head, in any situation I've ever been in, and as me have been in management, I know that that's not the answer you're supposed to give. Because, like, for me, if I don't like you as an employee, I could feel you're never ready to get a promotion, and then I'm never going to promote you. But I'm keeping you in a situation for you to do the work, but I'm never going to promote you. And so that's just not how you're supposed to do things. So I was just like, yeah, okay. So the next year rolls around, 2019, my review comes, and I'm like, hey, you know, like, have I got there yet? Like, do you feel I'm ready? And he's just like, oh no, like, it's still whenever I think you're ready. And I was like, well, what is it that you're looking for that so that you think I'm ready, that way I can hit those milestones? Like, are all the projects that we've done not credible? So mind you, 2018 to 19, she didn't get a promotion, neither did I. 2019 going into 2020 comes, she didn't get a promotion, neither did I. He told us both the same thing, whenever I feel like you're ready. So at that point, she had been in the department like 4 to 5 years. So she's like pissed. So we have a department meeting, and he announces that almost everybody else but us two got a promotion. I think it was like one other guy didn't get a promotion. Yeah, he didn't get a promotion. So 3 of us didn't. Everybody else got a promotion. So a girl that came in after me, she got promoted to level 2. Another girl in the department that does like no work, and I'm not even gonna say things about her character that I just think she does control substances, abuses them. Let me say that. She got a promotion. Everybody else got a promotion but us 3. Me, my friend, and another Caucasian guy. But he didn't get one because he was new. So she was pissed. She put in her notice to leave. And she had been to HR, her with my boss, about his behavior and other stuff like that. And they kind of covered up for him. So when she put in her notice, our manager went to another department and was like, oh, you know, we got one down, one to go. Talking about us, you know. So they're like, what do you mean? You know, he was like, you know, one of them, we got to get the other one out of there too. So she let HR know about that comment and nothing was done about it. So to cover their tracks, instead of letting her leave the company, they decided to move her to a different department, an hourly role. But she was so happy, and I'm so happy for her. Like, she's excelling there. She gets the praises she deserves. Like, she has great management, great co-workers. And I would visit her. It was just 2 floors up. So I was on level 4 in the building. She was in 6. So I'd go see her. We still talked every day. Still went to lunch all the time. Still my dog, right? So I'm so happy for her that she got out the situation. Because when she saw she was not getting promoted after 4 or 5 years, she had it. So I'm a little bit kind of pissed off at that point. So this point, 2019, I'm pregnant. They're kind of acting funny with me during my pregnancy. So previous to me being pregnant, one of my coworkers, his wife, and him got pregnant. So, you know, he would always be gone for the doctor's appointments. When she delivered the baby, he was off for like a month and a half. So I'm asking him, like, hey, what are the steps? Like, did you have to go through FMLA? And he was like, oh no, I just told our boss. He's like, oh, I just told him about the appointments and that was it. So I was like, you didn't have to report the time through the, you know, like company. You didn't have to do FMLA. He was like, you know, no. Just when, well, I don't know, say her name. I can say her name, but I won't. When my wife delivered the baby, I did take like some vacation time and some FMLA, but that was it. So when I got pregnant, I thought it would be the same way. And so my boss was like, nope, you need to document everything. You need to go through FMLA. You need to do this. You need to do that. And so I had documentation from my coworker that said he didn't have to do that. So I presented that to him and was like, hey, you know, he didn't have to do that. I'm confused why I have to, because at my company, anytime you're away from the office, that takes away time from your time when you deliver. So like it's in like an hour pool. So let's say I have like 360 hours. Well, every hour that I'm away for a doctor's appointment, a test, whatever, that subtracts from that time. So then I have to go back to work sooner than what I would like to. So, you know, he didn't like that I was questioning him and that I had documentation that he didn't do it with my other coworker, but he did with me. So I went to HR about that. And then I had one day where I was sick during my pregnancy. Like I just couldn't barely get out of bed. So I called out. Well, I tried to call him first. He didn't answer. So I called my manager and I called another analyst that I worked with closely and let them know. They knew I was out. I also texted my boss and left him a voicemail. He did not ever answer me. So apparently in the middle of the day, he goes down to where our offices are and cubicles, and he doesn't see me there. So he emails me with HR copy and is like, hey, you did a no call, no show. Like, we're going to HR when you get back. And I'm come back the next day and I read it and I'm like, what in the hell is he talking about? So I pull up my phone and I'm like, here's where I called you. I called your cell phone, your company phone. I called your desk phone. I left voicemails on both, and I texted you, and I called our manager, and I called the analyst. So I didn't do my part. So then when I responded with HR copy with all of the proof, he got upset and said, you know, like I embarrassed him and this, that, and the third. So I was pissed because I'm like, you're sitting there, instead of having a conversation with me about something that I didn't do, you decided to just automatically copy HR and just have this whole issue. So when I wanted to go to HR about it, he kept like, no, it's okay. Like, he never said I made a mistake. He never apologized. He just tried to brush it under the rug. And I was like, no, I want this on your record because you trying to have it on mine when I didn't do anything wrong. So He never wanted to go to HR. Every time we tried to schedule to go, his schedule would never permit, right? So then after I had the baby, COVID happened. So 2 weeks before my due date, I was put to work at home, or either on bed rest, or if my job allowed, to work from home, because my feet were swelling. It was so hard for me to just like walk far in the parking lot to get to my office. It just became a struggle. And I was stressed because my boss kept on tripping, because at that point I went from like once a month or every 6 weeks of an appointment to now every 2 weeks as my due date got closer, then every week. So he kept on like asking, then he would ask invasive questions like, you know, what is he doing at your appointment? Is he checking you down there? Like what? He just asked very personal questions that employers should not. And so I reported him to HR, and because it made me uncomfortable, one, and it's not your business, for two. And so I'm going through FMLA, so that's all I need to do. I don't need to tell you anything, for one. So he stopped asking the questions, but then would get pissed every time I had an appointment every week. So it just made me, like towards the end of my pregnancy, a little stressed. So my doctor put me to work from home the last 2 weeks of my pregnancy. And when I went into labor, on the way to the hospital, we stopped at my job because it wasn't that far from the hospital. We dropped off my stuff to give it back to them. And that was in my head. I knew I didn't want to go back. But COVID happened. And so I was like, okay, once it's time to go back to work, we're still working from home. We were like in the height of COVID. So I'm now at home. I'm 6 weeks postpartum with a new baby, working from home. So everything was okay because Nala was still really small. So he starts making little comments like, oh, are you at home working with that baby? Are you doing your work? Or are you at home kissing that baby? Just like all these little comments that was like, did he just think I said what he said? Like, it was just a lot of stuff that it was just inappropriate. And it was like, I'm at home with my child. If I need to breastfeed, like he would have an issue with that. Like, it just was crazy. So he kept on doing little small stuff. So I reported him to HR in August for his behavior, because he tried to write me up about something, and it just wasn't just. Like, I had all the evidence and all the documentation that I didn't do what I said I did. What he said I did. It was a whole issue with us and HR. Went back and forth. They conducted an interview, air quotes, and they didn't find anything on his behalf of like misconduct. So then he tried to write me up a second time. So you can tell at this point he's like trying to escalate things, because I think you have 3 write-ups and then you get terminated. So you can tell he's trying to document the write-up so that he can get me out of there. So I reported him again, but I took it up the chain to the vice president of human resources, because it was so apparent that my HR lady, and there's been other situations where multiple employees from multiple departments have went to her. She's always on the manager's side. She doesn't ever take what you say seriously. She never finds any merit to your claims. So I took it up the chain further. They did an investigation, but let her be the lead of it, which she was part of it. So it was like she shouldn't be in charge of an investigation against her and my boss. But okay, where does that make sense? So of course she found no merit to my claims against herself and my boss. So okay, I have my review, and of course I'm told I'm not getting a pay increase and I'm not getting a promotion. I'm like, okay, here we go. So I sent an email to document. I said, hey, just to follow up from our conversation, and my review was awful. So when I asked my boss to provide documentation about what he was saying that I wasn't doing, he couldn't do it. He said that, you know, it's just what he felt. I was like, but where, per my track record and my documentation, and from all my documentation from my manager, from my other analysts, I've done my job. So where's your documentation show I didn't do it sufficiently? He could never answer me. He just said that's what he felt. So I sent a follow-up email and said, hey, just to follow up, I'm not getting a promotion this year or a pay raise. Well, immediately, maybe like 5 minutes after that, the human resources lady calls me. She's like, hey, what's going on with that email? I was like, that's what I was told from my boss. So another 5 minutes go by and he responds with her copied on it, the HR lady. oh, well, Jessica, there was a mishap. You'll be getting a 1% increase this year. Like, okay, it's so apparent y'all are talking. Okay. So stuff just kept on going on. So I filed an ethics complaint with our ethics hotline. And it just, the ethics hotline, little did I know, is supposed to go to the CFO of Human Resources. It didn't. It went to our local HR lady, which she was included in. So of course, again, she found no merit to the claims against her and my boss, herself and my boss, even though I had documentation and everything. So I just got to the point where I was like, I am done. So Olivia and I started talking about me transitioning out and going a more entrepreneurial route. And I just realized, like, I am not made to work for somebody else's dream. Like, I am not made to be belittled. I am not made. And then my thing was, you guys, like, I'm sitting there, I'm working 40 hours a week. I'm also having to commute about a 30 to 45 minute drive both ways. And then you're belittling me. My work is never good enough. You know, then you want to pop, but I'm not good enough yet. I have superb reviews from multiple people within the company, within my department, within neighboring departments. But yet you steady pile work on top of me to do. But you say I'm not good enough, but then you give me all this work to do and you say, oh, you can handle it because you're awesome. But yeah, I never got a promotion. I barely got a pay increase, but there are people that came in after me that when we just talked made $2,000 to $5,000 more than me. Had nowhere near the job experience that I did. Some didn't have a career, had a degree, some did. It wasn't anything procurement related or close. One girl, she was a Caucasian girl. She had a degree in art and Spanish. No previous job experience related in the business world or management. And she came in making like almost $4,000 more than me. But my boss had a type. So blonde hair and blue eyes, that was his type. So that he's a sucker for it. So I understood that that's why she got the pay she did. And she had the color for the protection. I didn't. And so it just was discouraging. And I got tired of going to work every single day being beat up. To where like it started affecting my mental health. Like anybody that knows me knows me and my family love to travel. If I'm like outside of work, I was for the most part happy. I was at peace. I love like, you know, my family, my daughter now, my wife. Like I was completely happy outside of work. But like when I logged into work every day or even like went to the office building, I felt like I was in pure hell. Like my chest started tightening. Like I started having anxiety issues I've never had before. Like I just couldn't do that. And I had to realize like I have to be the best me for my wife and daughter, and that wasn't being in the space there with my job. And I on top of that, out of 365 days a year, you give me 12 vacation days. What am I gonna do with that? Like, and then their policy on like sick time and vacation time is so crazy that it's like I'm literally just working myself for somebody else's dream where I'm not valued. I'm not, none of that. I'm going, like, y'all, my dog, I can't even say her name, but y'all, my dog and people that know me, that work at Coke, that were around me, know what I was going through. And it was a place where sorry y'all, the camera cut off. But I was at a place where I was just broken, y'all. Like, me and my friend, we would have cry sessions, we would have pray sessions, we would have talk sessions, because when she left, thankfully, she was still in the company, but she knew and knows to this day, like we just both talk about now, like being out of that situation, how far we've come and the peace that we both have and that we feel. And it was just a situation where like I felt like God kept me there to learn certain things, to never be that type of person when I am an entrepreneur, because it just broke my spirit. Like, y'all, it broke my spirit. Like, Olivia can tell you, there were times like I called her crying. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, y'all, like I had like bad thoughts like I can, let me be very real and candid. Now, when I hear a story of like somebody went to harm their job or take a gun to their job, I am no longer gonna just be like, oh my gosh, they're an awful person. The first thing now is like, what's going on? There's something deeper there. Like, somebody just doesn't take a gun to their job. Like, I am now such a firm believer, like, a job can push you to a mental place where you want to do something crazy. Because it got to a place where it was like, from their safety, it's either like I put my hands on you and it's gonna get to a bad situation, or I need to remove myself from the situation. And so I just remember those days. Like, I was in tears, I was shaking, I was like having anxiety. Anytime I saw my boss's name on an email or a Skype message, I was just like, oh my God, like shaking. And I realized when I had my daughter, like, I can't tell my daughter one day to stick up for herself and not be in that situation, and then me be in that situation. And so that just wasn't for me anymore. And so, babe, do you remember those days?
I do. And they weren't great.
What do you mean they weren't great? Be so candid.
I mean, I had thoughts of, defending my wife. Let's just say that.
And y'all, there were times where, like, especially more so when I was pregnant, that he was doing crazy stuff, y'all. And Olivia was like, almost to the point where, like, I'm about to come up there and do something about it. Like, they threw me a baby shower. I had 2 baby showers at work, one for my great friend that I'm talking about this whole video. She and like all my work friends threw me, and some of them became my real friends outside of work. They threw me a beautiful, wonderful shower, and you could tell the energy was so different. Like, that shower, Olivia came, she was smiles. I will ask her for permission if I can post them, but I will post them here if she lets me. But when my department threw me one, vibe was all the way off. Like, they were trying to talk to Olivia, she was just like, Like, I had to literally, like, kick her under the table, like, hey, be nice at least. Because, I mean, it was so forced, it was so disingenuine, it was so, like, I didn't even want to take the gifts, but out of, like, respect I did. But I was just like, I don't even want this energy for our daughter. So can you speak to, like, a little bit, like, how you felt seeing me in that space, or like how I was,
I definitely didn't like it, and I wanted you to get out of that environment. Like you said, it wasn't good for your mental health and your health in general, honestly, because that can weigh on somebody's body and
it's okay.
So forth. But all in all, I didn't like the whole situation.
Yeah. And I think that, I was as professional as I could be, but we're just being very candid. We're a 2-income household. So she wanted me to get out the situation just as bad, but we were like, what are we going to do about money? Like, we have to have my income, or like some income from myself we have to have, right? So we just got to the point where, like, when I left, I took all my vacation time, because I've known my HR somebody has a whole 12 days, they won't give it to them when it's time to go, they won't pay them out for it. So I took all my vacation time in the month of January through March. Took all my vacation time, the rest of it 2 weeks, like the whole month of March, I took the rest of my time. I closed out different things. I did not say anything to them. So there's the whole time thinking that, like, I'm still staying with the company. They're giving me new projects. And so in my mind, y'all, I'm like, I just didn't get a promotion, but y'all are putting like these huge projects on my desk that requires so much time, so much work. Like, I should be getting paid. Like, y'all, I'm gonna be very candid. I was only making $38,000 a year. Mind you, I had no taxes. I mean, like, I had taxes coming out. I had no health benefits, dental, vision, medical, nothing. I'm on Olivia's stuff. The only thing I had coming out of my check was 401k, and that was 1%. Y'all, let me be so real. I was making $2,539 after taxes. Like, that's something, but in the grand scheme, y'all, of what I was being assigned to do every single day and the amount of projects I had, y'all, that was nothing. Like, nothing. I should have at least been making like $5,000 a month. Like, nothing. And like, then on top of that, you're not paying me worth nothing. But then you want to just work on top of me, then treat me like pure. I don't think so. I just, y'all, I was like, no. Like, I can make $2,500 being an Uber driver or doing Shipt. I don't need this. So Olivia and I talked, we looked at some stuff, and we were like, I'm just gonna take out my 401k, live off of that. So I am currently taking like a month and a half off. We are going to Disney in like 3 weeks. And then after that, I'm also studying for another career field. So I'm about to gearing up to take my exam for that. And I'm hoping and praying that everything works out there and I will have a new profession, a new career as an entrepreneur. But I can do it. I can do it. Like, and I am a firm believer, like, I can't just talk faith. Like, I have to be about faith. Like, I have some days where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, y'all, I'm very busy without working. I feel like I'm still working, just not for my company. Like, Olivia and Nala keep me so busy. There's always stuff to do around the house for them. But I'm about to enter a new career field as well, so I'm getting stuff prepared for that as well. But I want to also be an entrepreneur. I want to really focus on the things I love to do. And I had to really, like, I did so much research before I quit, because I'm like, I know the Black and Latino community, it's like you grow up 1 to 18, you go to high school, you graduate, you go to college, you get a 4-year degree, you work a corporate job till you're 60, 65, you retire, and that's it. And my parents can tell you that I am not that type of girl. I never wanted to do that, but I'm just going along with the societal norm. And I had to think, and I saw something on this YouTube channel that was like, if I died tomorrow, could my loved one say I was doing what I love? And I couldn't. Like, anybody that knew me knew when I talked about work, I freaking hated it. I hated my boss. I hated the whole company. Like, I hated it. So I had to put myself in an uncomfortable position of growth to say, screw the society norm, screw what, you know, not my parents necessarily, because my mom was super understanding. She saw like how much it was weighing on me as a person and as a wife and mom, so she was very supportive. So was my sister. But just what I grew up and was taught, screw that. Screw the norm. It's time for me to step out and do what I want to do. So I'm going to be posting more on here. I am going to be going into my new career field, hopefully, if God willing that works out. But I cannot talk about faith and not be about it. So just for anybody out there that's looking for encouragement, it's going to be okay. I know that God's got us. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, y'all, there has been so much since the past like 5 years. God, I know, is standing right next to me, and I just have to believe in myself. Like, if I don't believe in me, who else is going to, you know? So I'm excited to take y'all on the journey and just watch me grow as a person and a businesswoman, a great mom and wife, because that wasn't it. So to anybody out there, for me, I did not give notice. So what I did was I took all my vacation time on April 1st of this year. I sent an email that said, effective immediately, here's my resignation notice. I quit right now. And I was in the parking lot of my building when I sent it. I kindly took myself and all my computers and all that stuff from my job up to the HR floor. I went in the office building, scanned my badge, and I tagged HR on the email so they knew. The HR lady that I was okay with was there. She said, oh my God, I just read your email. Like, oh my God, no, don't leave. Like, can we move you somewhere else? And I said, this isn't for me. Like, this company, I can't do it. It stinks from the head, not the head, because our CEO is amazing. I've actually met him in person a few times. He's amazing. But there's people up underneath him that are stinking, and I can't do it. So here you go. Thank you so much and have a great one. And I left and I quit effective immediately. And y'all, do you see a difference?
I do.
How do you feel like now that like I'm free from that?
It seems like a weight kind of lifted, and you're happier. Like you were happy, but it was like every time you had to work or go to the office, it was like
A switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely can. Like I remember the last time I saw my boss in person was in November for my review. And Olivia can tell you I was like crying. Like most of the time, like towards the end, like the last year of me working, I was in tears most of the time. And like Olivia said, it was like I was so joyful outside, but it was like when I would just pull up, like when I even saw like my office building, I mean, it was like something in me just was dark and like it was a switch, like she said. So I'm excited for this new journey takes me. Are you excited?
I am.
I'm excited. I can't wait for y'all to see. It is going to be hard work and dedication and consistency, but it's time to get it. So I'm excited. Thank y'all for watching and see you later.